When you prestige the Mountain Division for the first time, not only do you unlock the Kar 98 sniper rifle, but you also unlock the basic training skill called Inconspicuous. Now the in-game description says, quieter movement and walk fast while crouched. I've had a lot of requests to do a review on this skill, so I'll be showing you how it compares to the Mountain Division's silent movement, as well as to the normal footsteps. So first of all, in order to do any comparisons, we need to establish the baseline footstep sound. I'm going to turn the game volume up all the way so you can hear the normal walking and crouched footsteps, the running footsteps, and then the diving sound. Now just as a heads up 7-up, almost every map in the game has incredibly loud background noises, whether those be cannons going off, airplanes whizzing by, or just off-screen gunfire. There's virtually no map that's completely silent. Also of note, your own character's breathing is incredibly loud, as you'll soon hear in these clips. So here's a non-Mountain Division, non-inconspicuous user. As you can tell, everything is incredibly loud. Now next, I'll repeat the same tests, but this time with the Inconspicuous training skill. The first thing you should have heard is that walking is completely silent. I didn't show crouching because it's identical to walking, and that's completely silent. Running and diving, on the other hand, were noticeably audible still. We'll figure out just how audible they are to enemies in just a second. Now lastly, let's take a listen to a class that's level 4 of the Mountain Division. 100% completely silent. So right off the bat, the ranking system based on your own footsteps has the Mountain Division's silent movement way greater than the Inconspicuous basic training skill. The Mountain Division's ability is the true dead silence, whereas Inconspicuous is more of a half-silent skill. So clearly, if you run Inconspicuous, you'll still run that risk of being sound whored by anyone with a decent headset. Only by walking or crouch walking will you be able to move unnoticed. Let's face it though, everyone is sprinting in this game. Rarely will you traverse the map without doing so. Now in order to figure out how far you can be sound whored while using Inconspicuous, let's again first get a baseline with no Inconspicuous. I'll show you my friend Jeremy walking and sprinting away from and towards me so I can locate the exact spot I pick up on his footsteps. So here's approximately the distance I could hear his steps. The solid red bar on the left is walking or crouch walking, and the black outlined bar is the distance I could hear him while he was sprinting. I don't think you need me to tell you that you can hear footsteps really well in this game. Now let's do the same test for sprinting with the Inconspicuous basic training skill. Remember, crouch walking or walking normally is completely silent with this skill, so that won't be shown. Now putting this on our prior graph, you can see the comparison. While it is true that running the Inconspicuous skill will quiet down your footsteps, they're still audible for quite some distance. Seeing this comparison to an enemy not using the skill, I'd say this almost isn't worth running at all. Unless, of course, you're one of those players that crouch walks around like they have a corn cob stuck up their ass. I guess maybe if you plan to snipe or be stationary with an LMG, you could get some use out of the dead silent movement while crouching or simply walking. But again, you have to sprint more often than not during a match, which renders this skill almost completely useless. And speaking of crouch walking like a newbie booby, the other benefit to this skill is faster crouch walking. I set up a little track here with a side-by-side comparison. On the left is a class without the Inconspicuous skill, and on the right is a class with it. I repeated this test quite a few times, and although my ability to walk in a completely straight line wasn't always perfect, you can get the gist of these approximations. So without this skill, it took 5.75 seconds, and with it, the time was reduced by almost 1 second to 4.85 seconds. So yes, you are clearly able to walk a bit faster while crouching. So that about sums up this basic training skill. Overall, would I say it's worth your time running? Absolutely not. The fact that it only completely silences your walking or crouching footsteps renders it practically useless. Anyone with a decent headset will still be able to pick up on your sprinting as well as diving. If you were using this in free-for-all and you kept getting killed by people anticipating your arrival, that would probably be the reason why. The only way to achieve completely silent movements is by leveling your mountain division to 4, which gives you the silent movement ability. This and only this will grant you true dead silence.